And welcome to Jhampa Shaneman for the Vajrasattva evening, and I will be muted.
Okay, I'll just do a refuge in Mandala, and funnily, I'll do the refuge in English and the Mandala in Tibetan because I can't remember it in English. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. From now until enlightenment, I'll work for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all beings be happy. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, Sangha. From now until enlightenment, I'll work for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all beings be happy. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. From now until enlightenment, I'll work for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all beings be happy. Sa shi boki choche meto tam riraling jini da gambadi sangye shing do ming de wargi droga nanda chinla shawarsho yedam guru ratna mandalak niyatayami. So this is a commentary to the Vajrasattva practice, and so whether you practice just what's called the standard Vajrasattva or Heruka Vajrasattva, basically the commentary is identical, and the benefits are identical, and the blessing power is identical. You shouldn't think that one of them is more powerful than the other. But that's on the side of Vajrasattva or Heruka Vajrasattva. From our side, we might respond a little more to one of them than the other. For example, I received these teachings from Lama Yeshe back in 1971 or 2, and he was a big advocate of the Heruka Vajrasattva. And of course, you may be familiar with his book, Becoming Vajrasattva, which has got a very detailed commentary, so that's good. So in regards to that, I'm looking more at a commentary to help you maybe practice, let's say, get the best benefits of it. So I shared some texts with you, and so I have what's called the commentary Heruka Vajrasattva. Okay, now before we start anything, of course, we should look at the motivation we have, like what's our intention. And so, I mean, certainly we all familiar, yes, I'm doing this for the benefit of all sentient beings, but Kyabje Ling Rinpoche once, when I was translating for a teaching he was giving, he said, please start off with someone that you actually love. And what he was meaning is that, because when we say for the benefit of all sentient beings, that's nebulous, and maybe the karma isn't actually as forceful. Whereas if you bring to mind your mother, father, brother, sister, or even maybe your pet dog or cat, and you feel this love for them, and then you say, I'm attending the Vajrasattva teachings for the benefit of them, and you could say that, and then you can also say, may I offer a more enlightened relationship to them, and that puts your whole attendance of the class as an offering, which makes it sort of even more, you could say, auspicious. And then, of course, then you just expand it and say for the benefit of all sentient beings. But what's important about that point of actually touching an emotion is that if you don't do it, you don't collect the karma. And so therefore, although we might say for the benefit of all sentient beings, if we don't actually start to generate some feelings, then there's not really that karma being developed. So it's important to actually have a feeling. So even in, of course, our standard refuge prayer, we're supposed to put our mother and father on our left and right side, and then such, and then we are the chant leader and things. So that's those are standard commentaries. But certainly, Rinchen Rinpoche identified that bring to mind someone that you do care about, and say even a pet's fine, they're a sentient being, and then say I would like to offer a more enlightened relationship to them, and therefore I'm attending the Vajrasattva teachings. Now, again, I'll do some commentary, and of course, then I'll go into this, commentary. So the sadhana says, from the crown of my head. So sometimes people have a little bit of let's say, where exactly is that? It's called 8 finger widths from your eyebrows. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the point. It's actually an acupuncture point. So that is the point where the stem of the lotus goes in. So visualizing oneself as ordinary aspect, having a white palm just above the crown of your head, transform it into a white lotus. The stem of the lotus touches the crown of your head. So where does the stem of the lotus? It touches you at that point. And look at it like a funnel. Again, Rinchen Rinpoche, when he gave these teachings, he said that it's a funnel that takes all the nectar that's coming down and makes it flow into that crown point of your head. Okay, on top of well, now, why a lotus? And again, most of us are familiar, but the roots of the lotus are in the mud. And then if the mud is very good and there's lots of water, then of course the stem of the lotus is very strong. And then finally the flower which blossoms, the lotus flower, has got a lot of strength too. But the roots are the cause of the strength. And what are our roots? Samsara. That's the place that you have the lotus blossom. It refers to spiritual determination, the wish to go beyond the samsara. But the thing is, it's nurtured by samsara, at least in the Bodhisattva path, and this is a Bodhisattva practice, Mahayana Buddhist practice. So therefore, when you look at your life and whatever's going on, and if you're going to do Vajrasattva practice, those events that maybe bother you or upset you, they're the actual mud. They're the thing that makes that lotus on the crown of your head appear. That you are looking at how to transform samsara into something more beneficial, in this case, spiritual determination. And I've talked before, and maybe you've attended previous classes, the word renunciation isn't actually correct. Why? Because renunciation is looking backwards, like I renounced cigarettes, I renounced alcohol, whereas the actual Tibetan word is nechung, which is to go forward. So although renunciation works in some cases according to the language, but the real thing is we're bodhisattvas. We're not thinking about what we've left. We're thinking about where we're going. And so therefore the word really is spiritual determination, going somewhere. We're stepping forward, however you want to refer to it. So the lotus represents that I am transforming the mud of my samsara into something that gives me, strong determination. So, and again, the meaning is interesting because it also says you take the things that bother you and you turn them into the causes of you becoming more enlightened. So it's not a rejection, it's not running away from them, it's learning how to transform them. And if you do transform your attachments or some negative action you've done, and you come to a more healthy position about that activity, whatever it may have been, when you meet somebody who has that, you can say almost automatically you'll have love or compassion for them because you understand them. You know what that pain is. You know the pain of jealousy or the pain of competitiveness or the pain of anger or low self-esteem. Those are the more subtle delusions which can bother us. And so therefore, when you do the Vajrasattva practice, you can purify low self-esteem, which I'll get into in a minute. But the point is that the idea is that you are nurturing the power, the strength of the lotus by working with transforming the samsara that you have in your life or previous activities that you've done. And again, if let's say you stole something or you were very verbally abusive to somebody, like maybe in a relationship, you got divorced and you were really angry at that person or whatever might have been your particular things, or maybe somebody abused you, So the thing is, when you process that and go through it, you actually end up by not running away from it, but by transforming it through the nectar of Vajrasattva, you end up with something richer, which is compassion for people that have had a similar experience. Not because you go, oh, that's horrible, don't tell me about it. It's rather like, oh, I know that. And that was so painful. And my heart goes to you because, I went through it myself. I've purified that trauma, that particular abuse, or that particular bad situation. So that's the lotus. Now, of course, I didn't start off with talking about the four opponent powers. Forgive me, but as I say, this is a 1 hour commentary, so it needs to be sort of a little bit disorganized, maybe. So the four opponent powers are regret, turning your mind in a positive direction, a purification technique, and then a dedication. So the regret is just like, wish I had done that. It's not like, I mean, again, I think I mentioned this before. Like I've never been in a Catholic ceremony before, but I went to a Catholic misa, the communion. And at one point they all stood up and they all went, mi culpa, mi gran culpa. And I was like, oh my God, I mean, like, psychologically within their religion, it works. But I just thought, why don't you say, thank you, thank you, thank you so much? Because Jesus Christ paid my debts, So anyway, I'm off topic, but the point is it's no mi culpa. It's not like I'm guilty. It's rather, I wish I had done that. It's a regret. It's a totally different emotion. A similar example given often is that, like, if you, let's say I'm in Mexico, so let's say you're on the street and you see a taco salesman and they're selling tacos on the street, and so you take one and you buy one and things like that, and then you're biting into it, and then someone says, "Oh, you're going to get dysentery from that. It's dirty." And you go, "Ah," and then you spit it out of your mouth, and even you clean your tongue. That's the feeling that you want about some previous negativity. Like, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to put that in my mouth. I don't want to get sick again. So it's a totally different emotion than to be I'm mi culpa or I'm guilty. Okay, so that's the first one, which is just I don't want to do that again. And so what you've done is you touch the thing you did. Maybe you said some ugly word to somebody. Maybe you stole something, or maybe you committed adultery. I don't know. I mean, or maybe whatever. I don't want to do that again. And so you touch it, but your mind has the reaction of not to repeat it. And that's different than saying, I'm bad. Okay. I mean, it's psychological and it's very important. So that's the regret. Turning your mind in a positive direction is, may I become more enlightened. That's taking refuge normally. In this case, it could be refuge in Vajrasattva, or refuge in Buddha, or refuge in Tara, whatever works for you that gives you the stronger feeling. Refuge in your gurus. Okay. And that's Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Then the technique in this case is Vajrasattva, and we'll talk about dedication at the end. Now, so then we have on top of the lotus, within the petals, arises a white ah, which becomes a moon cushion filling the lotus completely. And upon this, a white hum transforms a white five-pronged vajra with a white hum at its center. Light rays emit and accomplish the two purposes: purify all sentient beings and make delightful offerings to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. So the moon represents both wisdom and compassion. So the wisdom side of it is that the moon in itself has no radiant light, but because of interdependence with the sun, it reflects the light. And so therefore, the wisdom is, I'm in an interdependent universe. And as Nagarjuna says, if you understand interdependence, you understand the void. And if you understand the void, you understand interdependence. So those are complete in harmony with each other. Interdependence and the emptiness of self-existence. Okay. Sometimes it's better to say the full sentence: empty of self-existence, empty of independent existence, empty of inherent existence. The full sentence carries the proper meaning compared to just saying empty or void. Sometimes you get like, oh, nothing, and that's not true. I have one student that's got a very difficult situation, and they're with a person that's very angry, and they can't really escape that person, so they have to deal with it. They say, so I'm working with the voidness, empty. I make myself empty. And I said, well, okay, that's not bad. You're not reacting, but in one way, you could be just avoiding or not really dealing with the situation. When someone's angry, actually all they are is very unhappy. And so when you see somebody angry, and you can say, whoa, you're really unhappy. I mean, you wouldn't say it because they get more angry, but they're just very unhappy. And so therefore you could actually look at an angry person and have compassion. The only way you lose that is when they somehow touch you and they maybe say something that that gets you upset, and then immediately you get defensive and things. But if you can be a little clear-minded when someone's angry in front of you, basically it's just they're very unhappy, and then you can actually have love for them and even compassion for them. Again, skillfully. If you don't do it properly, they just get more angry at you, and then you're not really being beneficial. Anyway, point is so that the moon represents interdependence, and so therefore it's because it is its light is reflected. And then the second part is it represents compassion, so it represents both wisdom and compassion, because if you stand in the sunshine, the sunlight is very hard, it's very strong. Whereas if you stand in the moonlight, like on a full moon night, which will be in about another 7 days will be full moon, the light is very cool on your skin. And that's to represent the compassion. Compassion is very soft and very cool, cooling you down. So that's the moon. And on top of that comes Hum. Hum represents the mind of the Buddhas. And that turns into a 5-pronged Vajra, which represents the 5 Buddha families, or just the 5 Buddha families in this case, because we're in Tantra. It's the transformation of your 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perceptions, thoughts, and consciousness. It becomes the mirror-like wisdom, the equal-like wisdom, the perception wisdom, all-accomplishing wisdom, and the wisdom encompassing all, or the Dharmadhatu. I have to only touch these things rather than going to deep commentary, but that's what the Vajra represents. It represents the 5 aggregates being turned into the 5 Buddha wisdoms, which represent enlightenment. So that's a white Vajra, because it's a white deity, and it's marked by Hum, which represents... Geshe and Dhargaye said, when you ever think of the syllable Hum, that is the creator of the experiences you have. The Hum represents your mind, and depending on the mind you have, it creates your experience. So if we have a mind with misunderstandings of reality, then of course we get unhappy, we get suffering and such like that. So that's the creator of our experience. If we have a more enlightened mind and such, we understand reality, we understand compassion and things, then we have a different experience. So that's why it's always the syllable Hum represents the creator of experiences. Okay, it accomplishes the 2 purposes. The benefit purifies all sentient beings and makes delightful offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Light rays condense back into the white Vajra and becomes the massive white light, which transforms into white Heruka Vajrasattva, or can be the regular Vajrasattva. And in this case, we are in Tantra, so we have it in union with consort. So Queen of the Vajra realm. They represent, they're resplendent with silk gowns and bone ornaments. The bone ornaments are the crown, 5 jewels, necklace, armlets, wristlets, anklets, and belt of bones. The male is white, ash upon his body, and the female not. Their bodies are transparent, like milk crystal, brilliant with radiance. The white colors of the visualization can be seen in graduation, sage, pearl white, soft white. Again, Rinchen Zangpo said that. It holds the Vajra in the right, he holds the Vajra in his right hand at his partner's back, and the bell is on his left hip. She is seated on his lap, and she has her legs embracing him. Her hands are behind his head and hold a cleaver and a skull cup. In her left, her skull is full of nectar. The mouths and tongues are touching. This is a little bit more sensual, but it'll have meaning in a second. They are in sexual union also. So again, it's a very powerful vision, but the important thing is to understand the significance of it. It's not like that you have a couple on your crown fornicating. Sounds gross, No, they are a perfect balance. He is fully enlightened. She is fully enlightened. And so they're in perfect union. He represents method and she represents wisdom. Now, what's interesting is that why is the man represented as method and the woman as wisdom? And this came up from actually someone from Switzerland. Can't remember the name of the man. His mother was I think the secretary of Carl Jung, and then it was her son who made this commentary. He said, "Why are men related with method? Men are normally seen as more sort of intellectual and stuff like that, and yet here they're seen as method, which is compassion, love and compassion." And he said, well, it's because maybe that's what men need. they need to have more love and compassion. So therefore the male is seen as being love and compassion. The female wisdom, now that doesn't mean that women don't have intelligence. That's ridiculous. But let's just say the more analytical understanding reality is seen on the female side. So it's almost like the reverse, because often we say women are emotional and men are more intellectual, isn't it? But that's coming from actually a Jungian psychologist who made that commentary, but interesting. So again, what they symbolize. And the other thing is, although you should see these as being inseparable with the consciousness of your guru, which I'll talk about in a while, it is also to understand that they're both fully enlightened. And what would be a relationship for people like that? I mention that because it's not like that there's only male Buddhas, there's female Buddhas. And so they're in union, they're a perfectly matched couple. So they understand each other, they understand how to interact and stuff like that. And that's on your head. So that's fulfillment. That's perfect fulfillment, in a human aspect, when a perfect union of male and female. Okay. And again, they're radiant. They have the born ornaments, which represent impermanence and things. There's lots of minor details in it, but I want to move a little bit more to how the practice is done, because there's a lot more meaning in that. And again, there's lots of, I only have 1 hour, so let's make it meaningful. So it says, then we go from their crowns and their heart, there's a Om and a Ah and a Hung. They respectively from the Hung and the heart, raise spread and invite all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. And that includes your guru. Then it's Ja, Hum, Bam, Ho, they merge and become one. Now, in saying that the light rays spreads, you always should see the deities as inseparable from your gurus. Now, maybe not all gurus match that, and we are talking tantric gurus, ones that have given you initiation. Those are the ones that really are seen as being the deity, but you can have maybe admiration for some gurus that you have not received initiation from. But what you're thinking of is their enlightened activity, their ability to deal with delusions. So when you say, from a Hungam or from the Hung in his heart, light rays spread and touches all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and my guru's consciousnesses, they become aware of you and they send back their part of their consciousness to absorb into Heruka Vajrasattva and consort on the crown of your head. So now you really should feel that your guru, with all of their abilities and such, is on the crown of your head. Now, for me, I think the one that stands out mostly is Lama Yeshe. He was incredibly capable in dealing with delusions. I was his secretary for a few years at the very beginning before he became very popular. And he was just so adaptable in dealing with people that were angry, people that were jealous, people that had been abused. He always had good words and encouragement, and he just gave them love, And I think that was something really precious. And maybe you've got a guru that's like that. I just know that Lama Yeshe was very exuberant that way. I have seen other gurus that are like that. But let's just say that quality is what you want when you talk about that nectar coming into you, that they have this incredible good energy to bring you to a more enlightened position. Okay, so you feel that the Vajrasattva and consort on the crown of your head become one with the consciousness and all the vibrancy of your gurus, male and female gurus, if you have them, and such like that, and their abilities to deal with delusions, the anger and whatever, okay? That's really quite important, that they have capacity. Okay, again, the light rays ready from the Hungan tax, male and female Buddha's attention, request them to give initiation of Vajrasattva. They respond by sending offering goddesses vases in their hands. They come to Vajrasattva, they pour the nectar completely filled. Now, this comes in the longer sadhana done by Lama Yeshe in the Becoming Vajrasattva text. And also, of course, you're all FPMT students. You can go to fpmt.org and download all sorts of different sadhanas from there. There's long and short ones. This fills their body completely, purifying all imperfections of the visualization, bestowing great bliss and power. The surplus nectar flows to the crown of their head, and they are crowned by white Vairochana, Lord of the family. Now, if you're doing regular Vajrasattva, normally it's like Shkobhya, the Buddha. In this case, because it's Heruka practice, it's Vairochana is crowning. Again, there's some details in that, but again, it's, I think, secondary for the time we have today. He has one face, 2 arms meditation. Okay, so it gives you the description here. Okay, one purged the Vajrasattva and Vajradhatu Ishvari, queen of the Vajra realm, relying upon them together, one's meditation, concentration, may all negativity be purified. Okay, now, they're called the 3 or 4 washings. Okay, so you really feel that, again, it's a small thing. It's not like this great big, huge Buddha. You make it sort of comfortable for your mind. So, it's a small Buddha on the crown of your head. And in union, it's completely one with your guru. And as you recite the mantra, so in each of their hearts is a moon cushion with the mantra in each of them. Sometimes in the sadhanas only says in his heart. You should do it in both of their hearts. And around that, going counterclockwise, because it's a heruka. If you're doing a regular heruka, go clockwise, is the mantra, Om Vajra Heruka Samyamanu Pali Heruka. And you can do a spiral because it's a long mantra, whatever is convenient for your mind. And even if you can't visualize at all, just feel that it's there. Okay, that's quite adequate. Okay, and then as you recite the mantra, the nectar comes through the 2 of them, down through their bodies, and at the point of their sexual union, then the nectar flows into onto the moon cushion. Again, Rinchen Zangpo said, think of the moon cushion as, although it's a cushion, it's it's porous like a sponge, and so the nectar flows through that, and then because it's a lotus, it's a funnel. It funnels the nectar into that acupuncture point, which is the 8 finger widths from the crown of your head. So it goes to that point, comes into your body. Now, there are what's called 3 or 4 washings. Downward washing, upward filling to the heart. That's the 3 principal ones. And then sometimes they say for the 4th one, you do the 3 all together to make it 4. So you normally it's traditional to do like 21 mantras. So 7 for the downward washing, 7 for the upward filling, and 7 for the flash at your heart, which I'll describe in a minute. So those, and then if you did up 28, another 7, you can do 1, 2, 3 as a group of the 3. That's again minor. I want to put more emphasis now to what you should really focus on. So this is where faith plays a big role. Now, we don't have blind faith in Buddhism. We have faith that's based on confidence and understanding. So what does it mean? Well, if you bring to mind your gurus, so whether it's the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, Rinchen Rinpoche, whatever gurus you may have, and some of them might fit your mind a little better than other ones. And although even a sangha said, like, I have 32 gurus, of which they all are equal in my mind because they're all the Buddha. But I have to say, Sarlingpa, who gave me bodhicitta, I put him a little higher. So I mean, even if a sangha said that, then we can say certainly some gurus might touch us a little more. So you feel that guru is on the crown of your head, and now they have method and wisdom. Method is they have compassion, they have love, and wisdom is that they understand reality. Nothing is independently self-existent. Just as you're sitting in that room where you are right now listening to my verbal commentary, you are immersed in a room full of atmosphere. There's no gaps in that. You're like a fish in a fishing pool, or in an aquarium, and our aquarium is planet Earth. Okay, and not only you are immersed, it's around every part of your body. It's also penetrating you with every breath you take. So that's the wisdom of interdependence of you physically, and using the interdependence of atmosphere, the temperature of the air, the humidity of the air, and hopefully the cleanliness of the air, and then your body immersed, penetrated like a sponge down in the ocean, completely penetrated. That is 100% interdependence. There's not an atom or a molecule or a cell within your body that isn't communicating with that atmosphere to have life. Okay, now take that clarity and now apply it to all your emotional and mental experiences. You are completely an interdependent phenomena. you learned a language because first your mom and dad, and then you went to school, and maybe you learned a second language, like you learned French and Schweizerdeutsch, and then you learned I don't know Russian and Polish and whatever else, Danish. So the thing is, you needed to be interdependent with those languages to learn them. And then if you talk about whatever job you had, you were to be interdependent with your education. And then if you talk about your emotional life, you had to first be interdependent with your mother and father, and hopefully they were very loving and supportive, and whatever, if not, maybe some karma there, but whatever. And then the people that you fall in love with, all of that requires people. So even your emotions are completely interdependent. So that wisdom is really important, because whatever you have inside of you that's a problem, that you were traumatized, you were abused, that you were belittled, or that you were stolen from, or that you stole from them, whatever happens to be the things which are deeply psychologically bothersome to you, they are not self-existent. They are not like a stone that can't be affected. They can be affected. So just as your guru, in the aspect of Heruka Vajrasattva and consort on the crown of your head, has complete method, love and compassion, and wisdom, understanding reality, that's the nectar that's come down inside of you. And so as you do it, and you have the scanning, like, so you feel like, so that said the nectar should be like if you have your sink and you turn the tap on, the water goes straight to the bottom or fills the sink, and then slowly the sink fills up. Well, like that way, that's the way you feel that as you recite the mantra, this nectar of method and wisdom. And this is where I was talking of faith. If you have a really good feeling about your guru, male or female guru's ability to deal with delusions, that's what you feel flows directly down in the sort of that stream, hits your pelvic floor, fills up your thighs and your ankles and your knees, slowly fills up your abdomen, slowly fills you all the way up to the crown of your head. That's the first washing from the bottom up, and you fill yourself up with the nectar. But the nectar of what? The nectar of method and wisdom. And throw in there then, if you have faith in your gurus, that they give you the confidence to deal with trauma or some heavy negativity or some karma or something you've done, whatever it may be, that they embrace you and they love you and they support you. They're not repelled by that. They're completely like, hey, I love you more than that delusion. So you feel that they completely fill you up. That's wash number one. Wash number two is that then, no, I'm sorry, actually I got it wrong. I'm sorry, I'm confused. Okay, so the first one is it dribbles down. I'm so sorry. I'm too caught up in the visualization. So the first one is it comes into your crown and like effervescent bubbling. Okay, so please forgive me for my error in that, but the previous commentary was accurate for it be filling. The first one is washing down. So it comes into you, and then you feel that nectar, like the molecules of that nectar are like bubbling effervescence. And so it starts to wash clean. It goes down inside of you, it comes down through your throat and your body, washes, and all the dirtiness, big error there, comes out the bottom part of your body. So it's like out of your anus or whatever comes all the black filth of heavy negative karma. That's wash number one, my mistake. Wash number two is then the stream goes directly to your pelvic floor, fills you up, and then the dirtiness comes out your eyes, your nose, your ears and stuff, and it's finer. It's not as heavy as the first washing. And then the third washing is then it comes like a drip of honey on a cold day. If you took a spoon of honey and then you held it up, and then you watch the honey slowly drip down. That's what the nectar does, is it slowly comes down. If you're familiar with the central channel, you have it inside the central channel. If not, it goes right down, it hits your pituitary gland, goes down through your throat. And when it arrives at your heart, it likes to hit electrical switch. And it hits the switch, and immediately your whole body internally is illuminated. So that's the third washing. Okay. Now, I want to come back to how you understand the nectar, because that's a bigger thing. That in the downward washing, you can feel it like it's effervescent, bubbling, and you can make that even every molecule is a little Vajrasattva and consort. But this is where you then bring your faith to play. You know, it's the Dalai Lama, it's Lama Zopa Rinpoche, it's Lama Yeshe, it's whoever happens to be a guru that you have a lot of feeling for, that they're bubbling away. Millions of them are going down through your body, and they're cleaning and purifying and touching and everything like that. Now, the process of scanning through your body, downward washing, upward filling, and the flash in the heart, that those ones are important, that you actually scanning your body. Now, sometimes people just sort of do the mantra and they sort of, oh yeah, wash, 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 wash. But you want to literally sort of feel it like this wonderful, blissful energy of your guru is going down through your body, you know, and it maybe it purifies, you know, the stem of your brain, and goes down and it purifies your thyroid gland and purifies your heart and your lungs. But you're allowing your energy to go through these sections slowly, not quickly. Now, why? Because it can be said in our body there are trapped emotions and feelings. And so, you know, you might hit your heart chakra as you're doing this meditation. There'll come a memory of someone that you loved that betrayed you, or, you know, and that made you angry, and then you did so much of nasty things, whatever. And those things need to be purified. So that going through your body, you come down to your genitals and your anus, and then down into your thighs, that there's what could be called like trapped emotions. And that's why the scanning process is really important, to do it slowly. There's not in a rush, like how fast you can say the mantra or whatever, to let yourself really be bathed, in this case, by the energy, the method, and the wisdom, and your faith and your love with your guru, that your guru totally loves you, supports you, wants you to become enlightened. All of those things, those are really, really important feelings in this process of transformation. So you do the downward washing, upward filling, and then this flash at the heart. Okay. Heavy, heavy karmas get washed out your anus and the lower parts of your body. Geshe Rabten said, where does it go? You can feel that, like, again, this is examples. One leg is 7 levels below the earth is Yama, the Lord of Death, and he eats it because he likes that sort of stuff. Or Geshe Rabten said, you can feel it flies off out of you and goes to the sun, and the sun, we all know, is incredibly hot. It just burns it all. So that's, you know, just to make sure that it doesn't come back to you in some way, that you feel it's really destroyed. So that's the downward washing, heavy black karma. Then the upward filling, you just feel any slime that might have been left from that particular thing gets washed, and it comes out your ears and your nose and stuff. And again, you can feel it goes down to 7 levels below the earth, the Yama, or it goes to the sun and the sun completely burns it, whatever works for you. And so now you've done the second washing, which is you've removed any slime, or it's like shadow. But then the third one is that slow drop that just comes down inside of you, like, oh, so slow, and it's blissful. It's the energy of your gurus, it's happiness, it's joy, it's method and wisdom. And then it hits that electric switch at your heart, and when it hits it, then your whole body is clear. No more shadow, no negativity whatsoever. Okay, now you can do this with specific delusions, or you can do that with general things, just maybe previous lifetime karmas that you don't even know, may they be purified. Okay, so you can do it on a variety of things. So good, remember, like, the first feeling is, I never want to do that again. I just don't want to do that again. I turn my mind in a positive direction. Vajrasattva, please help me. And then dedication, which I'll talk about in a minute. Now, I want to move to the second thing, which is the meaning of the mantra. Now, I've done this retreat 2 times, 100,000. I did it when I was a monk living in India. It was first one I did it was in 1972, and the second time I did it was 1979. I did the full 100,000 mantra, and it takes 3 months approximately to do it. You know, that's a good retreat. I know of somebody who did it in six weeks, you know, half the time, but they must have been doing it so fast And this is where the error can be. I mean, I don't think any of you are particularly into doing a retreat. So let's just say, I mean, if you do, great. But if you look at the mantra, well, we're going to talk about the way that it's translated. Om Vajra Heruka, protect my commitment. May I be upheld by you. May remain firmly with me. May I be pleased with me. May I be happy with me. Have affection for me. Bestow me all powerful attainments. Make my actions good. Please make my mind most glorious. Hum, ha, 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 ho. Blessed one, all thus gone one, Buddhas, being of indestructible nature, one with great commitment to others, ahum pe. That's really meaningful. You know, so what is that? So Vajra Heruka, Samaya, Manu, Paliya, Heruka, Teno, Praditsa, Drito, Mebawa, Sutokayo, Mebawa, Supokayo, Mebawa, Anarakto, Mebawa. That's sort of the level you want to recite it, that you're actually saying, protect my commitment, may I be upheld with you, remain firmly with me, may you be pleased with me, you may be happy with me, have affection for me, bestow me all powerful attainments, make all my actions good, make my mind most glorious, hum ha ha ho. Okay. You know, again, I don't know if other lamas say this or other teachers, but I would say do maybe 7 or 8 Vajra Heruka, and then do 1 or 2 in the English or German or French or whatever language you care to do it in, but do it with the meaning, and then go back to the Sanskrit. You know, like I don't know. Let's say my grandmother actually, although she was from England, she was sent to Germany to be educated. This is back in I guess in 1870 or something like that, 1880. It was my grandmother. And so whenever I used to visit her, she, sprechen Sie Deutsch? And I wouldn't know what she actually was saying, but sprechen Sie Deutsch? Do you speak German? Now, of course, now I know. I wish I'd actually spent some time with her on that level of, like, you know, letting her talk about being in, I mean, it's just so many things I wish I would have gotten to know about her and even my grandfather, you know. Anyway, point is that it doesn't take long to understand. Om Vajra Heruka. Okay. Samaya Manu Paliya. Protect my commitment. Heruka Teno Praditsa. Be upheld by you. Drito Mebawa. Remain with me. Sutokayo Mebawa. Be pleased with me. Supotayo Mebawa. Be happy with me. Anurakta Mebawa. Have affection for me. Om Sarva Siddhi Me Priyasha. Sarva Karma Suchame. Give me all powerful attainments, make all my actions good. So become familiar with the meaning of the mantra. Then throw that together with then it is my guru, my wonderful gurus going down through my consciousness, through my body, through my pituitary gland, through my whatever, all my internal organs, and then whatever delusions. Maybe you have a broken heart, maybe you were abused, maybe you did something pretty bad, and so when you think of it, you think, oh, I never want to do that again. Then you feel that nectar goes in and completely, like, you are free of that. You're not going to repeat that. It's very powerful. Okay, so that's something that I think is really important, is don't think that how fast you recite it is going to be a big winning thing. No, try to slow down, enjoy it for what it is. You know, you could say it's literally a love song, a love poem to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. Think, hold me, dear, please hold me, love me, care for me, be with me, make my mind most glorious, make all my actions good. You know, it's very, very, very wonderful. So, so we have 1, recognize that previously performed negative actions are like slow-acting poison existing within your body. They will definitely obstruct our present happiness and fulfillment and destroy future happiness and fulfillment. So we want that removed. Turning one's attention to enlightened beings is point number 2. Take refuge entails 2 aspects. They are the casual refuge, and I become the resultant refuge. Okay, first enlightened beings lead us to enlightenment, and by our practice we can become enlightened. So we have then we become the refuge. Relying on Vajrasattva meditation purifies purification overcomers and their imprints. This purification requires 2 levels of application. One is a strong motivation of the 4 opponent powers that are being described, and upon which we have faith in the power of the mantra and visualization as taught by Buddha Shakyamuni. Okay, Vajrasattva and even great killing purify. So Okay, it's the intention, and this is also a practice coming from Buddha Shakyamuni, and even one, you know, with our gurus, so that it has the two aspects: is that we have the intention to purify and the power of the object. Now, part of the object comes back to that fully enlightened couple on the crown of your head, which is union oneness with the guru. That is the object, and it represents perfect fulfillment in an aspect that is human, you know. So do I understand it? Then now the final thing is then making a strong commitment to not repeat the negative action. Now, it said that this is very important to do it in proportion to your capacity. So let's say you're smoking cigarettes and you'd like to stop. I mean, this is a simple example. So it's very hard to totally stop, you know. So maybe you say, well, I'm not going to smoke a cigarette in the morning. So you accomplish that. And you then when you get to afternoon, then you say, okay, I'm going to smoke a cigarette. But hey, this morning I didn't smoke a cigarette. So maybe you have an abusive tongue. You are sarcastic. Is a thing, you know. So maybe you say, for the morning till 12 noon, I will not be sarcastic. Although I just love to spin my language in a way to be sarcastic with somebody, you know, to whatever, I won't do it. So you can do it for the morning only. And then maybe you get better at, you can do, for today, I won't do it. Or for well, if you get really good, maybe 1 week, I won't do it. So that way you slowly make a commitment that is actually can be realized. So again, that applies more to actions such as anger, or maybe you can be very conscious, like if you have low self-esteem, or in some way, like I'm a victim, I was abused or something, and it comes to mind, you say, nope, I'm not going to think about it this morning. You know, like I did a purification. So you make a commitment not to allow yourself to go to that sort of position of I'm pathetic, I'm no good, or something like that. Again, it sounds more psychological, but in many ways, a lot of who we are, you know, we had a motivation, we did an action, maybe we thought it was really good. So I wanted to get, or something upset me. I used anger, and I felt really good after I got angry because I really told them exactly what they needed to know, because it made me happy, you know, like that. So that's not very good, you know, like you really reaffirmed your anger by being happy that you got angry. So you say, okay, I don't want to do that. So then you say, okay, for this morning, from now until 12 noon, I'm not going to get angry. So anger comes up, but you say, no, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to do it. So you gain control. And then maybe you get good at it and you don't get angry for the whole day, and then maybe for the week or whatever, you know. And then if you do get angry, you know, it gets expressed a little bit, then you do Vajrasattva. And that's the purification of the past karma that you might have accumulated for having lied or stealing or something like that. I remember once I was with Lama Zopa, so I guess in 1972, and I was, you know, very young. I was only 22 years old. And I remember that when I was young, I killed animals. I used to have a gun. It was in Canada, you know, so I had a gun and I go hunting, and I just killed little things. Didn't kill anything big, but that in fishing, I used to go fishing. And of course, now I felt so badly. I mean, poor little animal didn't want to die, you know, and I killed it. I felt really sad. So I went to Lama Zopa and I says, you know, like, well, you know, I feel so bad about those things. And so he said, okay, well, you know, if you've been doing prostration, he says, very good. Well, I says, well, don't worry, you've weakened the ripening effect of that karma greatly. And he said, all that might happen is you might twist your ankle or stub your toe for those previously accumulated karmas. So that was interesting. So in regards to things that we may know we've done, or things that we don't know, like past lifetime karma, that we do purify them. And one way to think about that is this, that if you think of negativity as like being very acidic, your body is very acidic, okay? So you get acid indigestion and things like that. So if you can do something alkaline, then it takes away the acidity. So whether you take some medicine or maybe you eat a certain food product which is going to make your body alkaline, take away the acidity. So if you have a little bit of a bodhicitta heart, I would love to be more beneficial to everybody. I'd like to be a nicer person. I'd like to be more beneficial to others. May I be of benefit to the world? That's like an alkaline solution amongst the acidity of your negativity. And it takes away the power of the acidity. It takes away the power of getting angry, getting jealous, getting possessive, killing, stealing, whatever might be the action you would do, because you've taken away the power of it, because your nature is compassion or appreciation of everybody wants to be happy. Nobody likes to suffer. So one component of purification is that you arrive at a very positive feeling, which is then the final part of this, okay, where it goes into close the session with, sorry. At the very bottom, close the section where Spiel describes the text, visualize Vajrasattva and partner, absorb into your body, enjoy the bliss and purity of that experience. That's the happiness that I'm getting more positive. That's the alkaline against the acidity of your negativity. So that feeling happy is really, really important. It really a sense. So just as when you got hurt, you got the intention, you said something and you hurt the person and you said, yes, I got you, I hate you. Just as if you got happy when you expressed your anger in some way, or maybe you were more subtle and you sort of like you slid a knife into their stomach without them knowing. You're more subtle about how you want to hurt somebody. There's different ways people do it. The point is that when you feel happy about it, you just reaffirmed that anger is a really good technique. So you need to do the exact same thing with your positive quality. That it's not like, me culpa, me gran culpa, I'm a bad person, there is a psychology behind that type of purification. It's not Buddhist, but it's just another religion. For us, though, it's like, I've just filled myself with the good energy of the Dalai Lama. I feel all the good energy of the Dalai Lama. He fills me, he's one with my body. I'm happy. And that's the affirmation of being a positive person, being a bodhisattva, being a little bit like the Dalai Lama, being a little bit like Lama Rinpoche or some guru that you really feel good about, that you think that person is wonderful, male or female. Venerable Kadrula, such a special enlightened Dakini, Now again, not all gurus work, but some there's a Geshe that was in Boston. I'm getting old now and I can't remember names. Geshe Gellick? No, it's not. Anyway, Geshe Gelson, I think. Anyway, he was very humble, but he just had a very nice nature. And I can include him so easily in saying, I would like to be like him. Or maybe some of you know Lati Rinpoche or Chodron Rinpoche, some of these really older lamas were just so kind. They were kind, they listened to you. They're like your grandfather, or like the grandfather you wish you always had, like that. And that they're the ones that come inside of you and they love you, they support you, like, please remain with me, please close to me, please be happy with me, make my mind most glorious, like the prayer says. So now you start to understand, wow, this practice is really profound, very special. So that gets us up to 1 hour. And again, I maybe skipped a few things. And of course, I made a bit of an error on the washings. Remember, it's downward, upward filling, and flash at the heart. That's normally it's 7, 7, and 7. So 7 mantras, 7 mantras, 7 mantras. That's 21 mantras. It said if you can do 21 mantras every day of Vajrasattva with, of course, some feeling, your negativity will have no opportunity to increase. Of course, if you do it with deep thing, you might even purify. And sometimes with tantric practice, they say, well, you do 28, another group of 7, which is with the 3 at the same in that group. And then you feel I received the vase initiation, the secret initiation, the transcendental wish initiation, and the word initiation. So you identify those with the initiations. Again, that's it. Those are good things. I think that for most of us, it's a lot more about the purification and really feeling that we have good energy. We have the love of our gurus. We're trying to be bodhisattvas. We're expressing that. That for most of us, that would be the more important place to be, and to be happy with the bodhisattva practice. And then if you have that as a good foundation, then you do feel, I received the vase initiation, the word, or whatever, the four initiations. Okay. So now that gets us to 1 hour, and I want to open it to questions. So let me just open up the chat. Okay, yeah, so there's this not so, or actually, if you want to write them, or if you want to just unmute yourself and ask a question, okay, I'm opening it to questions.
Let me get started with the first one, which is I've been doing this Vajrasattva practice for maybe 15 years, almost every day. So
Yep.
when is enough, like the same misdeed that I committed as a child with killing a bug, for instance? I mean, what would be a good sign that that's enough, Lars? Or should I continue till I get enlightened or what?
Well, I mean, yes, you should continue, but you could change the reasons you're doing it. I mean, I agree with you that yeah. I mean, I carry some things I did as a young man that I regret massively. I wish I'd never done them. And so yeah. How you get a recognition of the sign is that you'll have a dream. That's the most standard one. That you have a dream. I have a friend of mine who had a falling out with his guru. It was a rather bad one, and stuff. And then the guru disappeared. He had no more ability to have contact. So he was really quite bothered by that. And, there was it was some silly stuff. So anyway, he did Vajrasattva practice quite dedicatedly for quite a while. Finally, he had a dream of being with that guru, and they were very happy, and they hugged each other, and they were very warm and friendly. And so he said, okay, I finished. That the dream indicated I finished the negative karma that I accumulated by being angry with that guru. So that's one thing as a dream. Generally speaking, I would say if there's some things that you did as a young person that you feel bad about, you might never have a dream. But then, if you feel, okay, I would never want to do that again. So you have that feeling fairly clear. Then maybe shift over to just receiving the bliss and the good energy of the Vajrasattva mantra rather than focusing on the purification. There's the example of the cup is half empty, the cup is half full. Well, in one way you can say the cup is half empty is, okay, I'm working on purifying past karmas. The cup is half full is, I would love to have a much greater connection with the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And even if they've passed away, Lama Zopa's, has shown the sign of moving on, doesn't mean you still can't totally rely on that idea. Like, I pray regularly to Kyabje Ling Rinpoche, my main guru when I was in Dharmsala. Even though he's now reincarnated, I don't have much opportunity to connect with the new one. So I have all these emotions and feelings with the previous one. Well, I'm not going to stop those ones. They give me inspiration. So as a cup half full, shift your meditation of Vajrasattva over to being filled with the good energy of the guru that you identify Heruka Vajrasattva with, or just regular Vajrasattva with. So look at it that way, that it's either, I've really got to purify that one, okay, or maybe, okay, I don't need to focus on my purification. I want to fill myself up with good energy. So you have those two options. People that are divorced and have had a very bad divorce, that's a good one to do Vajrasattva on, because if you don't forgive that person and move forward, you have karma to meet with them another rebirth. It sort of sounds scary, doesn't it? So it's better to completely purify your ex, and have forgiveness for them. I mean, they're just a sentient being. They were trying to be happy. You were trying to be happy. You both made bad decisions, didn't work. So money put me home or whatever, and that's where in your dreams can be that your ex shows up, but you're friendly with that ex. And that would be a good sign that you have purified that karma in regards to a very bad divorce. Okay. And then those are more real things compared to something from a previous rebirth that we don't even know about. Okay, anybody else's question? Yep.
Thank you
The
very much.
person.
This is very inspiring. And I'm doing Vajrasattva practice every evening as well, but the killing is a problem because I have a pet, and although I don't kill like insects or animals or anything, but with my pet it's a different thing, because when he has worms or fleas, then I don't really see a choice. And so the resolution in the end, at the end of the practice, I don't want to kill, and I don't want to kill, but I'm aware that I will if I have to. And I don't really know how to say it, and yeah, how to make that resolution.
I have an answer for you. Granted, if we were monks and nuns, we could be very, very strict about this because we're a monk or a nun, but we're lay people and we have lay situations. So, for example, in 1976, I was in Australia in Chenrezig Institute, and I was translating for the Tibetan Geshe. And one mother came to me and she said, my daughter has the hair thing, the lice in the hair, whatever it is, that's infection. And I have to go and kill all of the thing because she can't even go to school. Well, so the Geshe said this. He says, you're not sitting there thinking, oh, I get to kill these little guys. I'm going to be so happy. I'm going to kill them. No, you're thinking, my daughter needs to go to school and she needs an education. So my motivation isn't that I want to kill them. It's rather, I need to do this so that my daughter can get an education. So you could say that's the intention. Part of that then say, may I have a karmic relationship with these lice, that in the future rebirth may I help them come into enlightenment. So you can say a prayer like that. And especially for those of us, for example, that own houses and they have termites, or there's just some sort of infection of some sort, infestation, that again, you just say, well, I don't want to kill you, but there's just a necessity. So may I have a karmic relationship with you from now to enlightenment, and such. And, I'm sorry, you're going to take another rebirth, and then you do the insecticide or whatever you're going to do, but then you say, may you take a good rebirth. I'm saying a prayer for you. So, for example, with your pet having some, fleas or whatever, dear fleas, you're going to take another rebirth now. I care for you. I love you. May you take a good rebirth. And then you could do prayers for it. And then you give the medication, whatever it may be. That's a whole different situation compared to saying, I want to kill those fleas because they're horrible little creatures. That's a whole different karma. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying it's the best, but it certainly, you can say, do it appropriately. Like where I live, there's dengue and malaria in here. So we have screens on the windows and the screens on the doors and all of these things, but mosquitoes get in the house. So, to be honest, I give them another rebirth. And it's not like I say, oh, I'm going to, may you take a better rebirth. I'm sorry you got inside my house. I tried to not let you get inside my house, but you got inside my house. So I need to send you to another rebirth because you might give me dengue, or give a guest who's visiting dengue or whatever. So you want to be sincere. It's not just sort of trying to rationalize. But those would be my suggestions. Now, I'm not saying that all teachers will say that. I'm relying on one is what that Geshe had to say in Australia. And two is just, we're not doing it out of hatred. We're just saying this, for example, with having, even for ourselves, we had, worms, tapeworms or something in our stomach. Well, to give us a long life that we can practice the Dharma, we are going to give that tapeworm another rebirth.
Yeah. And how would you phrase it then in the evening during the practice? Because I would like to say I will not kill, but
okay.
So on a practical level, yeah.
Well, okay. If I would say that for all the creatures that I've killed, may I help them. May we all go together to enlightenment. I dedicate that way. So I don't focus on the killing. I focus on that I have a relationship with them that happen to be killing them, but the thing is, it's a relationship, and I'm going to, may I help them go to a more enlightened position. So, in the perfect world, may I never kill. But okay, this is not like I said, if you're a monk or nun, then maybe you should not do any of those things because you have, 250 precepts or whatever. We're lay people. So maybe we have to accept the fact that we're going to do some things which maybe aren't so good, but we could frame it in a more constructive way that, okay, I'm a lay person, I'm going to kill these things, or no, let's phrase it, I'm going to send them to another rebirth. It sounds a little better, I mean, I don't like killing anything, but if there's mosquitoes in the house, I will spray the house with Raid, because they could have dengue and it's a horrible disease, and along with malaria and all the other ones. But I do say, may you take a better rebirth, and I dedicate my bodhicitta and my practice to that may we have some karma that in the future, we go towards enlightenment. So, and your question is this, to say, don't focus on I never want to kill, focus on may I have a karmic relationship with those creatures which have taken another rebirth, and may we all go towards a more enlightened position. That'd be my suggestion. I'm not saying it's the best, but at least it's more constructive than mi culpa, mi culpa, mi culpa, which sort of sounds what you're close to,
Yeah, and a bit helpless as well, just not really knowing. But yeah, that's very constructive. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Other questions? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, no. Maria had a question.
I do, and thank you. And I don't know if you have time, so if it's okay for you.
Yeah.
I do understand all these purifications are to help us to reach closer to, to wisdom and emptiness. And, the Lars also asked how we know that we have progress, how we know that we have been purified. And in the same way, my question is, how do we experience that we are closer to emptiness by purifying continuously, our mind and our soul? Is there a way how to connect it? Because, sometimes this also helps to see our life going forward and growing.
Well, the easy answer for that is you're not as reactive as you used to be. That's the simple version, is just I don't react as much as I used to. Or, I mean, let's say if there's somebody that betrayed you or hurt you really badly, that you can finally actually have a sense of compassion for them. So you're looking at your reaction, and not that you want to be looking at it too strongly, because then it's sort of like, you're too mechanical, like, have I done enough and this and that? No, you want to focus on like that, may I be beneficial? May I be more helpful in the world? And then the way that you can recognize that it's happening is that you're not as reactive. You don't get as angry as fast, or you're better control of your anger, or you're better control of your self-esteem, or your lack of self-esteem, or whatever may be the particular thing. You just recognize you're not as reactive. That would be the sign. Okay, just a simple example. I was a monk for 14 years. I was married to my first wife for 18 years, and then we just separated because I wanted to continue with the Dharma and she wanted to do other things, and so we ended up separating. And now I've been together with my wife now for 21 years. Okay. And all I can say is that my sign that I'm doing a good job is that I'm a better husband. I don't get so reactive. So I say, oh, it's, Vajrasattva is working. So whether it's that or it's your pet dog or cat pees and poos on your carpet, whatever might be your situation, that you're just not as reactive as you used to be. That's a really good sign of, yes, it's working.
Thank you. Highly appreciate. Thank you so much. Beautiful teaching.
Yeah. Well, it's real life. Okay. Other questions, commentaries? So I guess there's no questions. That's fine. The closing statement for me is that Vajrasattva isn't something that's not your guru's. That's the most important thing. So if you just think of this, there's just this white Buddha out there, and then he's got a white wife or whatever. That's not very real. Whereas if you say it's my gurus, and so like Lama Yeshe for me, he's blissful, he's happy, he's full of love, and he's got great capacity. That was his personality. Lama Zopa Rinpoche is a little bit more sedate, more quiet. He's not quite the same as being blissful, but he was very, very capable in things. So each guru has a particular quality, or the Dalai Lama is just, irrespective of how much his country has been totally abused, he still has love and compassion for the Chinese, so absorbing him, like, because in the end you absorb Vajrasattva. Well, absorbing my guru into me, that I have those qualities. I think those are the things that you want to focus on more of, that it's not just like, I've done 100,000 mantra. Well, if you didn't have many feelings about doing the 100,000 mantra, then I don't know if there's really been much benefit, I mean, I guess there is, because it's the word of the Buddha. But if you can mix it with your feelings and your desire to move forward, bodhicitta, everything is open, nothing is self-existent, everything can be transformed, wisdom, and may I help it be transformed, compassion. Then that's Vajrasattva, and I want that in my life, and that's what I want to offer. Okay, so I think that gives an hour and 15 minutes, which is good. That's our normal time. So because we're all FPMT students, Gewadi Nyurduda Lama Sangye Dru Kyurne Drowa Chikyan Malupa Yeki Sala Goparsho Chanchu Semcha Rimboche Mage Panange Gerchin Yewa Nyamba Mepa Yong Konne Kondu Pelwarsho. There you go, guys.
Thank you, Jhampa. Thank you very much, appreciate it, and looking forward to maybe next year we will call you again and have a follow-up on something. And we thank you very much for the third teaching in a row, and have a nice weekend when it comes about. And,
Okay,
thank you
so
everybody
much.
else for joining in tonight. Much appreciated. And thank you. And
Okay.
bye-bye.
Thank
And
you.
before we part ways with everybody